Welcome to our online offer holder day. My name is Margaret Barnes-Davies. I'm the admissions lead. I also teach on phase 1 of our curriculum. And the purpose of this video is to tell you a bit about phase 1 of the course. Our head of medical school, Professor Richard Holland, has recorded a couple of separate videos. There's a welcome talk and a talk about phase 2 of the course, so please do also listen to those talks as well. So our aim at Leicester Medical School is to produce doctors who will be safe and competent, but also compassionate and caring, and doctors that will have the resilience to cope with what is actually a challenging career. The curriculum that we've produced is a very patient-focused curriculum and gets you to think about things from a patient's perspective throughout. It's also a student-centred course, and by that I mean that our academic staff don't just provide you with the knowledge, but what we do is we actively promote your development of skills so that you can produce skills which help you to actively learn and to discover information for yourselves as well. And that will help you in your future career because learning never stops with medicine. So the approach that we have at Leicester Medical School is we have blended what we know works best from traditional methods with innovative learning and things that we know, new things that we know that have come on board that we know will help you to learn well. All your learning, as I've said, is done in a clinical context, and more so it's also patient focused. The course that we have at Leicester is not a problem-based learning course. What we've got is a course where we guide your learning throughout, but we still provide you with lots of active learning. But that active learning in groups is guided by us rather than being a problem-based learning course. So what kinds of learning will you encounter when you come to Leicester Medical School? So we teach you through a variety of different methods. You will have lectures. There are lectures predominantly in the George Davies Centre, and you will also have lots of group work where you work through problems together in your group. Things that we've kept that we know work really best from traditional courses are things like dissection. And as I'll show you later, we have a really big, well-equipped dissecting room. So you get lots of chance to do dissection at Leicester. We also offer you clinically relevant practical classes so that you can learn things in a different setting. Obviously, you must learn your consultation skills as well, and that is done with some GP tutors, and we have actors who come in to simulate patients to help you develop consultation skills in the first instance. We're very keen on technology enhanced learning at Leicester, and for a number of years now all our students when they arrive are issued with an iPad, so that's your iPad to keep for the time that you're at medical school. And a lot of our learning is delivered through the iPad, so your group work, your workbooks are given to you through the iPad. Your lecture slides are available on the iPad. You can annotate your lecture slides as you go along. All the material you need is on your iPad, and there are links in your iPad to the relevant chapters in textbooks when we want you to look at things, or there might be links to videos that you should watch, etc. And you know, when you go home, for example, in an Easter break, to take all the stuff that you need to revise, you just take your iPad home. Everything is there and links to all the material that you need. And then, of course, as you move out of phase 1 of the course into year 3 and beyond, you're then in full-time clinical training, and that's our phase 2 of the course. And as I've said, Professor Richard Holland has provided a separate video explaining to you about phase 2 of the course, so please do watch that. So we have a 5-year course, that's our A100 course, which consists of phase 1, and phase 1 is years 1 and 2 when you're predominantly in the medical school. And then phase 2 is years 3, 4 and 5, when you're predominantly out on clinical placements, either in hospitals or in the community. For students who are on our 6-year course, our A199 course, you do your year naught or your foundation year, and then you progress into year 1 of the 5-year course. So your teaching thereafter is alongside all the 5-year students on the A100 course. So this talk is equally as relevant to you. So just thinking of phase 1, the first 2 years of the course, the diagram up here kind of shows you a schematic of years 1 and 2. So currently our course starts with a very early clinical placement, and that's just to help you go into a clinical setting and start seeing things from a patient's perspective, from a patient context. You're not really expected to do anything other than observe, get to know the patients, what it's like for the patients, and also to talk to the staff involved as well, and get to know quite a bit from the staff, and then reflect a lot on that experience afterwards. During the phase 1, you obviously have a lot of the molecular and cellular sciences to learn how things work at a cellular level, to learn about genetics, etc. And then there are certain applied sciences that you need to know about, such as infection and immunology, pathology, etc. And then a lot of the teaching is through integrated systems-based units. So these are units such as the respiratory unit, the urinary unit, the musculoskeletal unit, the cardiovascular unit, which is the unit that I lead as well. And then you go on to the applied things, and you look at things like population science and sociology as well. And there is time to consolidate your learning. And then also throughout, there is the early clinical experience. So that early clinical experience is where you're learning your consultation skills, learning your physical examination skills, learning how to take a patient history, etc. And that happens throughout both years 1 and 2. And then you start off learning communication skills, etc. with actors, and then you go out into placements in general practice and in hospital placements, and you will have a GP tutor that leads you through that early clinical experience. So this is just to show you through another way. So we've got the cellular and molecular basis of medicine. So that's things like looking at cellular physiology, looking at genetics, etc., looking at how molecules and receptors work. We've got the population and social sciences. We've got those integrated system curriculum and the applied sciences, and then the consolidation that you do when you bring everything together and look at familiar topics from a new perspective. And all that is underpinned and surrounded by that early clinical experience and putting everything into a patient context. So all the learning that you receive throughout is in a patient context. So this is just to show you a screen shot from our website. So if you go onto our website and look at the curriculum pages on our website, there is actually an interactive diagram. Now this diagram I've shown you here, you can actually hover over this and click on things, and you'll get a description of what occurs in the different units. So for example, the unit that I lead, the cardiovascular system, so in that unit you'll see that we'll do you learn things like the anatomy, the embryology, how the heart develops. You learn the physiology, how the heart actually works in the body, how the cardiovascular system works. You will also learn a little bit about what goes wrong with the heart, about things that can go wrong in the cardiovascular system, and learn about how you might assess the the conditions as well. And you get to do practical things such as learn how to do an ECG, and you will also spend some time down in the dissecting room, dissecting the hearts and looking at the structure of the heart as well. So all that learning is brought together in an integrated fashion. And typically a day would start with a lecture followed by either a dissecting room session or a group work session, and then followed up by another lecture as well. And the group work that you do is getting you to think through and to work through problems that are related to the teaching that you get in the lectures. So we don't just deliver the teaching to you in a lecture format, but we give you opportunities to consolidate that as well. You're given self-study things to do as well, some questions to work on in your own time, and then the different units will give you quizzes and things that you can do, little formative quizzes, so you can test your own learning as you go along. So I've mentioned quite a bit about working in groups. So just to explain to you that when you arrive in phase 1, you're assigned to a small group, and that's a group of about 8 or 9 students. And you work with that group over the 2 years that you're in phase 1. And when you're in group work, there'll be 4 groups in a room, and you will have an expert leading your group work and helping you. So you're working on the questions that we've set, you're working on your iPad, completing these structured tasks, but you have your tutor in the room who's moving around, and they are experts, so they can really help to explain things, and sometimes they'll stop and explain things to the group as a whole as well. One of the good things about group work is that it really builds up on your teamwork and skills as well. So you're actually learning from each other, and we find that our students are very good at teaching each other, encouraging each other, and working together in groups. So our dissecting room is a excellent facility that we have. It's a really big dissecting room. There are room for 32 tables with cadavers on them, and each group has their own cadaver. So when you go down to the dissecting room, you'll be working on your own cadaver as a group. And it's the same group that you've been doing your group work with. There's lots of staff down there when you're in the dissecting room, lots of our clinical teaching fellows and the academic staff all down there to help you with your dissections. And we've also got a TV camera, so we have a demonstration station in the middle, and we maybe show you how the dissection is done, show you the structures that you're going to find. There are cameras, there are television screens around the room, so you can look and see how something should be done, and then you can work on your cadaver. In the dissection room, we also use other technology to enhance your learning. So we have 3D printers, and sometimes we have scanned structures from the cadavers, or have scans from other means, and we print out 3D models of various pieces of anatomy so that you can see things on the 3D model as well. We've also got 3D cameras which can take photographs of prosections or structures, so that we can provide you with 3D images that you can then work on to help you to learn the anatomy. So there's lots of things that we do in the dissection room. There's lots of bones, etc., so that you can work on those to learn the structure of bones as well. Another really important thing is learning from patients. So at Leicester we've got a patient and carer group. And the patient and carer group are a group that you will encounter straight from the start. So you will meet some of those, and you will interact with them, and you'll really begin to find out what it's like from a patient's perspective. We also use something called Patient Knows Best, which is an electronic platform where you interact with members of this patient and carer group to talk to them about some cases that they have, some symptoms or something they might tell you about, and then you can look up and you can explain things to them, etc. So these patient and carer groups are involved in the Patient Knows Best electronic platform. They're also involved in your very early clinical experience as well. So they are a very valuable group that we have. So our phase 1 of the course goes down very well with our students, and what I've done in this slide here is I've just put up some of the quotes that we've had from some of our year 1 and year 2 students, and you can just pause the video and have a read of some of these quotes. But students like the phase 1 of our course, they're very happy with it, and they've got lots of good things to say about it. When you're at Leicester Medical School, you can also have the opportunity to do an intercalated degree. And at Leicester, we have very flexible options. So you can do a bachelor's degree, you can do a master's degree, you can intercalate after year 2, year 3 or year 4. You can also intercalate elsewhere as well if you choose. So please do consider that. Hopefully we'll have a video for you to watch on the intercalated degree programme at Leicester as well, and Professor Holland has mentioned a little bit more about the intercalated programme in his talk on phase 2. The other thing is that we've got excellent sources of support at Leicester as well, and again we've provided a separate little video for you that's going to explain about the pastoral support, the personal tutor support, the academic support, etc. that is on offer at Leicester. So please do look at that video as well. So finally, I'd just like to think about why Leicester? Why should you choose Leicester? Well, actually, we believe that we've got a really dedicated and approachable teaching team. All the unit leads are really approachable, are very happy for you to contact them. We want to work with you as part of a learning team. The curriculum that we have at Leicester is actually very well regarded. It's got plenty of active learning in it. It's so well regarded that it's actually been taken up by several other medical schools. We've got those great dissection room facilities, and it is just such a buzz in the dissection room. We are so privileged to have the people who have donated their bodies and the families that have allowed that to happen, so that we have this facility, and dissection is by far the best way to learn anatomy, so we're really privileged to have that facility. The iPads that we use and the way we use technology in learning really does help to enhance your learning. And finally, we produce doctors who progress well into the foundation year and beyond. And if you listen to Professor Holland's talk, he explains to you about how our doctors progress beyond. So I very much hope that you will choose Leicester and that we will be seeing you again in September. And I wish you all the best at this time.
So I'd like to welcome you to Leicester Medical School. This is a talk focusing on phase 2 of our course, our clinical phase, and I'm Richard Holland. I'm head of Leicester Medical School. This is a sort of partner talk with a talk by Dr. Margaret Barnes-Davis, our admissions tutor on phase 1, and I've also recorded a short welcome talk for you as well. You have to understand our course is powered by great research. We sit within the College of Life Sciences, which has a fantastic pedigree of groundbreaking research in genetics, cancer, cardiovascular disease and diabetes, to name a few areas. Genetic fingerprinting was something that was discovered in Leicester and developed in Leicester. So we are a research-intensive university which underpins our excellent medical course. We're also leading in terms of quality and safety. Northampton, one of our local trusts, and Leicester, University of Leicester Hospitals Trust, both are leading exponents of patient safety. Our students regularly participate in quality and safety initiatives, and this is a picture of some of our students taking their work to an international conference last year. So I've got the pleasure of talking to you about the second part of our medical course, but it's important to understand that our course has gone through quite a revolution over the last 5 years as we started a new curriculum that's working really well. It's based on obviously the GMC guidance in terms of outcomes for graduates. which sets out the knowledge, skills and behaviours that you as future doctors would be expected to show. But the design of the course is ours. And that's the great joy of medical school within the UK, where medical schools have the freedom within the guidance of the GMC to develop courses that suit their particular circumstances. And we've developed a course that we believe is both innovative, resting on traditional foundations, and excellent in the way we deliver it. So you're here because we believe that you have the ability to treat people with respect, that you have great empathy and the ability to care for others, which are fundamentals to you becoming a fantastic doctor. But doctors also need to thrive with responsibility and leadership, and specifically to be able to manage uncertainty as you weigh up different possible diagnoses that your patient may or may not have, and how to manage the diagnosis you've made. Medicine is and healthcare in general is a tough but very rewarding career. So being resilient and having great problem-solving skills are vital. And clearly, you have to have an aptitude and interest in science, as science underpins everything that we do. So I think the great thing about Leicester is that we are fundamentally trying to train safe, competent, compassionate, caring doctors. We have a patient-based curriculum, not a disease-based curriculum, and we very much believe that our clinical part of the course is very much around a vocational apprenticeship type model, which allows you to develop the skills you will require to be a fantastic junior doctor and doctor of the future. We have very student-centred teachers. We very much believe that we should learn from the students in terms of their respond to their needs and their desires in terms of enhancing and developing our curriculum on a continuous basis. And we're very proud of the partnership we work to with our students, who are at the very heart of the development of our curriculum. So our approach is very much a blend of the best of the traditional approach with innovation. All our learning has a clinical context to it, and we're proud that within the first 2 years of phase one that you will have heard about from Margaret, we're very much guiding your learning throughout through a workbook-based approach within the group work that you do. That's very important. It's not problem-based learning, and it's that guided learning that we think supports you very well through that first phase. So I just wanted to capture that, which no doubt Margaret has touched on in detail before. So it's a 5-year course, 2 years of phase one and 3 years of phase two, and it's phase two that I'm going to be dealing with in a little bit more detail over the next 5 or 10 minutes. So our clinical years, phase two, are years 3, 4 and 5. Year 3 is the apprenticeship element of the course, where you have a long period of 12 weeks in a medical block, a 12-week surgical block and a 12-week primary care block. And these long blocks allow you to develop a relationship within hospitals or primary care with a ward team, so you develop the skills that are so required of our junior doctors in medicine, surgery, or indeed out in general practice. And the long block means that you have a much more developed relationship with our clinical placement providers. You feel much more at home, and you're learning much more actively than you do in those places which move you from pillar to post rather more frequently, shall we say. That year ends with exams followed by a 4-week student selected component, which allows you to pick something, and we have a wide variety of options, from very clinically orientated student selected components in, say, radiology or microbiology, infectious diseases, etc., to a much more classroom based activities such as learning a language, such as British Sign Language, or working in the community with our connection we have with a homeless charity called Project Light. There's a vast array of different components, student-selected components that you can choose from, which is exciting at that stage. So you will then move into our 4th year, and our 4th year is our specialty year, where we have 6 7-week blocks. Reproductive health or obstetrics and gynecology, child health, i.e. paediatrics, a mental health block, a special sensory neurology dermatology block where you're learning ENT, ear, nose and throat, ophthalmology, that's the eyes, neurology, that's the nerves, and dermatology, that's the skin. You're learning those in detail before you move into an integrated care block. The integrated care block's a block where you're based in the community, learning how secondary care services, our hospital services, link to our community and our primary care services. So you specifically, or generally I should say, around elderly care, but not just older people, also those with disabilities, etc. And learning how services can work well together, and also discovering how services sometimes don't work so well together. You'll have time in our community hospitals based around the patch, etc. And there's a cancer care block as well. We're relatively unusual in the UK in having a 7-week block devoted to cancer care. Yet cancer is one of the biggest killers in the UK, so understanding cancer in detail we think is highly important. So year 4 finishes with some exams, and then you would move into our final year. And we feel that the final years are sort of our jewel in the crown, as it were. It's a chance for you to develop the skills that you absolutely require day one as a foundation doctor. And there are 4 of these foundation assistantships, one in the emergency department and acute care, one in medicine in hospital, and one in surgery in hospital, a primary care assistantship, an elective and a student selected component. So in the slide you'll see 3 things, but that hospital one is actually divided into a medical component and a surgical component. So acute care, medicine, surgery and primary care, each of those are 5 weeks long. You have your finals, and then you enter your elective and your student selected component, which finishes the course. And that final student selected component is really a chance for you to develop skills in a very specific area of interest to you in terms of your future career. So it allows you the opportunity to really have a flying start for when you apply 2 years after that for specialty training or training in general practice. So that's the structure of our clinical years, and we think the structure seems to have worked really well. Students are really enjoying it, and the real change here is the longer clinical apprenticeships in year 3, which are leading students to come out of that year much better prepared and also to have engaged much further. But equally, our long foundation assistantships in year 5 allow students to really develop the skills that they require to be genuinely great foundation doctors. So that's the structure, as I said, of phase 2. The foundation assistantships we know are working. We run them now for 4 years in a very similar shape. They move to being before finals just this year, and that's really prepared our students for a fantastic experience during finals and to be ready for their new career. So we're proud of this assistantship programme, and those are a few insights from comments, not only from the students themselves, but from the doctors they're working with, who are seeing students not behaving as students, but very much behaving or almost as junior doctors. So I ought to mention intercalated degrees. Intercalated degrees are a fantastic opportunity for you to step outside your medical course after either your 2nd, your 3rd or your 4th year. And we're very flexible in that regard, unlike certain other places. And I think that flexibility is important because every student is different, and when they feel they are ready for intercalation varies. Some will not want to intercalate at all, and that is absolutely fine. I would encourage every student to actively think about intercalation and decide yes or no, but the decision as to whether or not to intercalate is clearly your own. The programmes that we have available within Leicester are a relatively new Masters in Medical Research that's been run for 2 years. That was based on a bachelor's degree in medical research, where the students were performing to such a high standard in their dissertation component that we very much thought this is not at bachelor's level, we need to make this a master's, and it's become a master's in the last 2 years, and the students are thriving through that and succeeding every bit as well as they did prior to that. We have a BSc in biomedical science for those students who have a particular interest in one of the biological sciences, and that gives them a chance to have a more taught year, and students generally do that after the second year, but they can equally do that after the third or fourth year if they so wished. We have a BSc in psychology again, that's more of a taught course, and again students can do that after the second, third or fourth year. And there are other MScs that are in development at the moment. We're very pleased that we've almost got approval for a Masters in Clinical Education, which will allow students to develop educational skills. And many of our students absolutely love teaching other students and giving them the skills to do that really well, and generating and developing the clinical educators of the future is a real passion of ours. So having a master's degree opportunity there will be great. As I said, you can integrate after year two to do a BSc, or you can integrate after year 3 or 4 to do an MSc or a BSc, if that makes sense. We're flexible in Leicester in terms of where you integrate. We'd love you to integrate locally here in Leicester, but we understand that for some students they find a very niche integration option in one of the other medical schools in the country, and that is absolutely fine. They should definitely take that chance. Or they specifically want to integrate elsewhere for other more personal reasons, and that also is absolutely fine, so long as they're obviously doing something that's relevant to the course. So that's integration, and our students thrive through that. The hospitals. So phase 2 is delivered both in hospitals and in primary care. We're very lucky in Leicester to have 3 hospitals within Leicester itself. Leicester Royal Infirmary, which is literally 10-15 minutes walk from the medical school. Leicester General Hospital and Glenfield General Hospital are both out on the peripheries of Leicester City, and they provide a diverse range of experience across the medical specialties. But we don't just send our students within Leicester. We have a range of district general hospitals where students go for what they call outblocks, and they provide free student accommodation. And this slide shows you the diversity of hospitals that we use, from Queen's Hospital over in Burton in the west to Lincoln Hospital north and east of us, Peterborough Hospital over in the east of us, Kettering General Hospital sort of due east of us, Bedford Hospital, Northampton Hospital south. And those are the main hospitals that we are using, as well as George Eliot Hospital over to the west. So that's the range of hospitals. All of those have a uniquely different skill set. Students love each of the places often for quite different reasons, but the students particularly like outblocks because they tend to be managed in relatively smaller numbers, and they feel that it's a somewhat more intimate experience than the larger Leicester Hospital. That said, they love coming to Leicester too because of the specialty experience within Leicester. So that's the diversity of hospital experience that's provided for students who come to Leicester. We realise that undertaking a medical course, it's 5 years. A lot can happen in 5 years in your life, and students need support through that time. And we have 2 sorts of support offers. The first is a personal tutor who you have during phase 1, and you'll see that tutor sort of 3 to 4 times each year. And then you move into your clinical years, where you'll move into having a clinician who's known as a clinical academic tutor, who mentors you through your clinical years, those years 3, 4 and 5. And that clinical tutor will see you for twice a year or thereabouts, or more if needed, in order to help you develop as a clinician over that time, develop your specialty interests and develop your career skills, etc. We have a very specialised unit here called the Pastoral Support Unit, which is nationally extremely well regarded for those with more complex support needs. And we have a university system as well that provides very good care for those students who'd like to seek care outside the medical school, including student welfare and accessibility units. We also have an academic support unit for those who need support on the academic side, but we have very available unit leads to help students, particularly during phase one, where they're based in the medical school and the unit leads are in the medical school, for students to approach and get extra help in the units that they're finding more challenging. So we have a very good support system. We feel very close-knit group with our students, and we encourage you as students to develop a real engagement with our staff. That's very important to us. In summary, why do I think you should come here and study to be a medical student, to be a doctor in Leicester? Well, I have a fantastic team. The students really make the place, and clearly in a virtual offer day visit, you're not meeting our students, but I hope that you have experienced one of our open days and met some of our students, or you've met them during your interview process. And you will recognise the students are extremely down to earth, and they're a lovely group. They're excellent and great ambassadors for the course. Our course itself is well designed with clinical integration, with strong underpinning bioscience, with excellent anatomy facilities. I think our learning ethos through phase one with group work which underpins the lecture-based teaching is so very important, as it's through the group work and the workbooks that our students work through that they really learn to understand the lecture material that we provide to them. Our clinical diversity across the patch, but also the excellent opportunities to do research, whether it's during the course through our Medical Research Society or by stepping out and doing an integrated degree. Both are great ways of engaging in the research life of Leicester. And Leicester has this thriving hospital and general practice base that we use for your education. So it's that team of clinicians and academics, our fantastic students, the structure of our course, and the hospitals and general practices that support us, that make us special. We produced some winning doctors. A couple of years ago, when the NHS was celebrating its 75th birthday, there was a university challenge for junior doctors, and it was great to see so many of the actual contenders were Leicester graduates. This is a picture of one of the early rounds where University Hospital Leicester was taking on Kettering General, and four of those people in the picture were Leicester graduates. I was delighted when University Hospital Leicester won, and two of those students, or doctors I should say, were from Leicester. So that's a great tribute to our graduates, but this is something that I think is really important, that our students go on to be fantastic doctors who progress. And by that I mean that all, pretty much every single doctor graduates into foundation training, but after that, moving into specialty training is more challenging. Yet our students, year after year after year, perform outstandingly well at moving from foundation training into specialty training and getting an excellent specialty training post. We're third overall on average from 2014 to 2019, third only to Cambridge and Lancaster, interestingly. So great career progression. So in summary, we have a clinically focused course which is underpinned by excellence in bioscience. We have a strong group work provision supporting your learning, cadaveric dissection in our superb anatomy lab, a wide range of hospital and GP placement around many areas of national excellence, a high research activity and success, and great integrated degree opportunities building on that research. And like I've said, we produce doctors who progress. We produce doctors who are caring, empathic, but also succeed in their careers. So thank you very much. I hope that's been a useful summary of our Phase 2 course. And I hope you choose us and come, and I'll meet you face to face in September. Thank you.